Guest Gerald Celente. I'm George Norrie, back in a moment on Coast to Coast AM. We're back with Gerald Celente. Gerald, you're lighting up the phone lines here, but before we go to them, give us a few tips to at least survive some of this. What do we do?
Well, I have to make it clear, we do trend forecasting, and we don't give financial advice, but I will tell you what I do and friends of mine are doing. What I do is I invest in gold and have been for many, many years. I began my career in 1978 playing the commodities market when the Iranian crisis broke out. And I've been watching gold and going into the market since that time. Number two, what people are also doing is they're hedging their bets, in that they're putting half their assets in euros and half their money in dollars. So if the euro goes up, the dollar goes down, they're even. If the dollar goes up, the euro goes down, they're even. The point that we're saying is that in this type of atmosphere, yes, I believe, by the way, we're forecasting gold to go way past 2,000. We're only accounting for inflation when gold hit 875.
And yeah, that's still about a little under what it was like then, right?
Exactly. It should be $2,239 in $1980 today. So gold hasn't. It's on its run right now. And by the way, our forecast is that we see gold moving to the 1,200 to 1,500 level quite quickly, and then a major retrenchment, maybe, a couple of $100 even. They always do this. They shake out the players,
sure,
and then it will move on again. And with the euro for the Swiss franc, I even heard Pat Robertson telling his flock to get out of dollars. He said, this isn't being non-patriotic, but I'm telling you to get out of dollars. And the people that I know are doing the same thing. Yeah, if to hold dollars, all your assets in dollars now, is a terrible mistake, because also, George, we don't know, the Iranian situation is heating up again. They're saying that with the firing of Admiral Fallon, they don't use that word, I'm sorry, firing.
Yeah. Well, he resigned on his own, Gerald.
Resigned on his own. See, I think I'll go play golf next week. So with that happening and the prospects for international destabilization, you really don't want to be in dollars, because with this dollar crash happens, people are going to be left with a dime on the dollar. We're going to go into a cycle that happens to all third world countries that overspend. And by the way, when you look at the data for government, for job growth, the only place where we saw job growth in last week's numbers was in government employees. Terrific. More bureaucrats, non-productive jobs that we have to pay for. The point that I'm saying is they're bankrupting the country. To be stuck in dollars is going to be deadly, we believe.
Well, the IRS is going to start giving the rebates on May 2nd, $300 to $600.
Everything.
We're all rich again, Gerald.
Happy days here.
Let's take some. Go to the phone lines. Frederick in Flushing, Michigan, I believe. You are on the air with us. Hey, Frederick.
Hey, George.
Good to have you with us. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I discovered a most amazing book entitled You Were Born Free, Now You Can Live Free. Bob Plimpton, a relative of George Plimpton.
Uh-huh.
And in You Were Born Free, Now You Can Live Free, Mr. Plimpton cites the fact that banks don't actually loan money. In reality, it's currency. Obviously, there's no gold or silver backing it. But he does show in the book, in the section on the birth certificate, that everyone's birth certificate becomes a monetized, registered security asset in the Department of Commerce of at least $1 million.
That's interesting.
It gets remonetized on a regular basis. And that's why dignitaries like William Jefferson Clintonista used to say, our children are our greatest natural resource. Why? Because of all those new crop of birth certificates every year. But more importantly here, and I want everyone in the audience, if you have a checking account, get out your checkbook sometime, get a magnifying glass, scope out the so-called signature line, which to the naked eye appears contiguous, unbroken. But with a 4 or 6 power magnifier, it becomes a miniature dot matrix spelling the words authorized signature all the way across.
I didn't know that.
What one is authorizing with their so-called signature, which is actually an autograph, is the creation of non-legal tender currency. And non-legal tender currency is what happens when a contracting borrowing party who thinks him or her is going to borrow money, when they sign on the so-called dotted line, as Paul Harvey likes to say, once they affix their autograph to that line, that document becomes a negotiable instrument.
Well, let's say, Mr. Salente, Frederick, sounds like you two went to the same school.
Well, I'm not sure the point that he's making.
Let's go and see if it is. Go ahead, Frederick.
There is no valid consumer debt.
No valid consumer debt.
There is no valid consumer debt because of the fact the contracting borrower is financing his or her own loan by virtue of the creation of this non-legal tender currency promissory notes.
Well, maybe in semantics, I think, Frederick, you might be right, but I don't know if it would hold up in court. Gerald, would it?
Well, no, it won't hold. In reality, it won't work. And this is like saying, I love with the language that they use, these firms. They have write-offs and write-downs. Nobody ever calls them losses. No, the consumer is lost here. And again, they're $14 trillion in debt. You just, George, you read the delinquency numbers coming out and the foreclosure numbers, I believe, with the news.
Huge.
Yeah, this is unraveling at warp speed. And people really better start taking proactive measures to secure their future. And by the way, we're very fearful of riots as well. This thing is going to really push people to the end. As the high gas prices are just now moving into the system. We haven't moved into the summer driving season.
And then they're going to slow down car sales and everything. It's like a domino effect.
It's a domino effect, and when you have uneducated people, no less, without work and no future and drugged out of their mind on hillbilly heroin and stuff we never heard of before, you're going to see a very dangerous scene. So in taking that even, you're going to see a huge business in self-defense, in safety, and again, it's going to be to a level of fear as well that's unwarranted, but people are still going to buy into it. So these are the businesses. And by the way, something very important is happening here. This is more than just a financial meltdown. It's a breakdown of not only the federal system, but also the major corporate system. You take agribusiness, for example. It's built on the model of producing huge quantities and shipping them far distances.
Mm-hmm.
That model just broke down.
Right.
So now you go to local, self-sustaining, micro farms. This is where the future is. And by the way, current events form future trends. People want to look for opportunities. Look what happened. It made it in and out of the news. I'm sure you talked about it on your show, and that was the news of all the drugs in our drinking water.
Yes, we talked about it. Big time.
And these are the kind of water purification systems beyond reverse osmosis, the kind of things that are going to bring natural healing. These are the micro farms, as I said, high quality products. You did the story before on the tainted toys from China. And by the way, I'm an American firster, and before I'm an American firster, I support my local community. And the people of this country better realize that if we don't stick together as a community and a country, we're going to be taken over by the foreign interests who now control our assets. As I said, this is going to be a staged devaluation of the dollar. You know the golden rule, those who own the gold rule? And that's what's happening. Abu Dhabi, China, Singapore, Kuwait, they're the golden rulers, and they're going to control this country if the brakes aren't put on the Fed now, because this is the great depreciation. Every time they lower interest rates, it's cheaper for the foreign countries to buy us up for dimes